It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Last of Us on HBO. On this video, we're going to be taking a look at a very interesting topic, which has to do with the possibility that we will see a very unexpected cameo at the end of Season 1 of The Last of Us adaptation on HBO. A cameo from none other than Abby, who's obviously a pretty important character in The Last of Us Part 2, but she was never in The Last of Us Part 1. So we're going to take a look at that and how that might work. Stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it all down. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, smash that like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's get right into it. So obviously, having covered a good chunk of the behind the scenes for The Last of Us on HBO, what we know for sure at this point is that they will be covering the entirety of the story from The Last of Us Part 1 in Season 1 of the HBO adaptation, as well as story expansions. Now, we know these because of the behind the scenes pictures, clips, some reveals that have happened. So everything that's out there now, official and unofficial, reveals that we are going to see a good chunk, if not all, of the story from Part 1. That includes the critical storyline, which has to do with Joel taking Ellie to the Fireflies lab and kind of making a decision to do what he did to the doctor and not let them do what they were going to do with Ellie. I'm trying to be very cryptic here in case there are people who haven't actually played the game who may not want to know. But obviously, Abby as a character becomes very connected to that whole storyline. But that's something that we learn in Part 2. Here is where things could get interesting. What if they do something along the lines of having this story progress to a point where they will bring in Abby earlier into the TV adaptation? Now, she might not be the focal point, she might be in the background, she might be mentioned, something like that, and we might see aspects of what we saw in Part 2 when it comes to what she was doing during the time when Joel and Ellie were at the hospital and everything like that. Now, what would make things even more interesting is to get that pretty big moment from Part 2, where it's revealed to us, the audience and the players, how Abby is related to this whole thing. It would be very interesting if they do that. Now, even after that, what they could end up doing, and this is a stretch, to see something along the lines of a post-credit scene after all of that is done, where we see the Abby that we know from Part 2, the Abby from the timeline in Part 2, who is ready to do whatever she needs to do to make things right. Now, obviously, they're not gonna come out and say it like that, but they're gonna tease it in such a way in the post-credit scene, or they could tease it in such a way in the post-credit scene where if you played the game, you know exactly what they're doing, and if you haven't, then you get intrigued to see, what's going on and how everything relates. Now, they also have to be very clever with the way that they bring young Abby in, because if they bring a young Abby in that looks exactly like the old Abby, then the audience is gonna know. Doesn't matter if you haven't played the game, you're gonna know. But if they bring in a young Abby that doesn't necessarily look similar to the older Abby, then you could very well have teased the Abby storyline for players of the game, but also keep fans guessing as far as those who haven't played the game before. But I'm definitely interested to know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think that we will see something like that or not? And also, what are your thoughts and opinions about the idea that they could bring in a young Abby, even if they don't bring an older Abby into the picture in Season 1? Now, it doesn't need to be super long. All of what I said could be like a 3-minute, 4-minute scene, but all I'm saying is that they could bring Abby in a lot sooner in Season 1, and they could kind of build up the story that we're going to see in Season 2. But I'm definitely intrigued to know your thoughts and opinions. Share your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to join our community and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.